find a solution to this pollution.
Let's give it up once more for MP Khadija Amin. Good night to our dear political leader and to our Caroni East family, our host this afternoon, MP Rishi Sicharan. For those of you who are visiting and may not be very familiar with the geography of this area, after this meeting, I want to invite you, as you step out, look to your left and you will see a beautiful building. A beautiful building. That is the ECCE Center, the Early Childhood Care Center for our children of Ragunanan Road and environs. That is a pretty new building. And I want you all to know how that building came about to be. It came about to be because of the vision of our dear political leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Let's give her a round of applause. And our then Member of Parliament, Dr. the Honorable Tim Gopi Singh, was not only the Member of Parliament for Caroni East, but he was the Minister of Education. So the Ragunanan Road people would have benefited from the vision of Kamala Prasad Bisesa back when she was Prime Minister. And it is our job to ensure that she goes back as Prime Minister when the next election is called. Just a bit higher up the road, if you were to venture east along the Ragunanan Road, you would see beautiful lights illuminating the recreation ground. That came about because of the People's Partnership Government led by Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And you would see a play park for the children of Ragunanan Road and environs. That is what Ragunanan Road benefited from Kamala Prasad Bisesa. This afternoon, before I introduce our next speaker, I want to say a special good night to our dear principal from the Ragunanan Road Primary School, Miss Salisha Ramsing. I want you to give her a round of applause. She's always very much cooperative and she works along well with MP Sicharan and his Caroni East team. And she works along well with the local government representative in this area who's speaking to you right now. And she does an excellent job for the children of Ragunanan Road. So a special good night to our principal. And I also want to recognize my good friend, Mr. Jimmy Joseph, who is in the back in a different colored jersey tonight, but it's not his fault. And I see Mr. Silcott, our hard-working residents from Ragunanan Road, who are in charge of the sports club in Ragunanan Road, and they keep the youths together. I needed to mention them this afternoon. Our next speaker, very dynamic young man, a good friend of mine. He's a hard-working UNC representative for Caroni Central. He possesses an LLB from the University of London, an MBA from Edinburgh Business School, a legal practice certificate at the University of Staffordshire, and a BSc in electrical and computer engineering from the University of the West Indies in St. Augustine. Our next speaker has been a strong supporter and a defender of the party since its inception and has served on the party's national executive. He has been a partner at the Orion's Law Chamber and has worked as a senior manager at TSTT, an operations engineer at TNTech, an engineering training at Plipdeco, and a site superintendent at Franklin and Errol Electrical Services. He also served as a member of the board of directors of Petrotrin between 2010 and 2015. He has also worked entry-level roles at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine, Carib Glass Works, and Ramdas Transport Limited. He has served as the UWI Guild president and received a number of awards recognizing his efforts in student governance, cricket, and football. Let's give a hearty welcome to our next speaker, MP for Caroni Central, MP Arnold Ram.
Got to find a solution to this pollution. Got to find a solution to this pollution.
Thank you, Chairman Ryan Rampasad, for that wonderful. All right, let's stand and welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. All right, so let's stand and welcome our honorable political leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, as she make her way to this grand meeting at the Ragunanan Road Government Primary School in the constituency of Caroni Central. Caroni East, very close to Caroni Central, under Dr. Rishi Sicharan, who is your Member of Parliament. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and let's welcome the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisasa.
Should make you stronger. So my problems is like steroids, boy. I get my doses from all kinds of sources, and all of them still can't kill me now. You see, as them stick me on the ISO, ride on the storm and just like Cabo. So as the box me down, so I get up. They have to wonder how others get up. And every crack I see, I just see through. And by the help of
While the political leader is meeting people outside,
I feel like
okay, so whilst the leader is making her way and meeting and greeting persons on the outside, I'll ask you to take your seat and I will continue with my presentation this evening. And very shortly, as she make her way to this grand meeting, you'll have an opportunity to meet the leader. So thank you very much, Chairman Rampasad, for that wonderful introduction. Our illustrious, brilliant and esteemed political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisasa, our deputy political leaders, members of parliament, senators, firehouse speakers on the platform here this evening, our national executive members, members of the media, together with so many of you who are viewing this presentation online, I say a pleasant good evening to you all. Caroni East, how are you all feeling this evening? Are you ready to hit the streets campaigning? And are you ready for a general election? All right. So brothers and sisters, there are a number of issues I'd like to bring to your attention this evening as we see a government that is hell-bent on filling and lining their pockets at the expense of all citizens of this country. The working class against the poor, against the vulnerable, and all and sundry. We see a government that has lost all moral compass to govern, and a prime minister who just cannot discipline his cabinet colleagues for their ineptitude, for their incompetence, and for their corruption. The government ministers, their friends, their families, and their financiers are literally fighting each other for contracts as they know their time in office will be short-lived. We are now hearing numerous rumors of what actually took place at the arson attack at HSM in Chase Village. It has to do with the awards of contract or the non-award or the cancellation of contracts at a land settlement agency and a fight amongst two cabinet colleagues. I am sure we will get more insight into this in the coming days and weeks and keep you informed. Recently, there was a story in the Trinidad Guardian with respect to a government minister getting a number of contracts at the Housing Development Corporation. According to Guardian Media Report, on Monday, 25th September 2023, the Kuva Tabaki Telpara Regional Corporation was being requested to clean up the mess being left or undone by a company called Pikal Services Limited, a company purported to be owned by Minister Foster Cumming. The company was not servicing the community in the Kuva area in relation to the disposal of garbage and bulk waste in the community. The residents and the school administration were constantly calling the councillor, they were calling the chairman and the CTTRC to assist with garbage collection and bulk disposal. In good conscience, the CTTRC did what it had to do. It continued to serve as Kamla Prasad Bisasa have all our councillors and MPs do. They did what they had to do because of certain health concerns raised by the Public Health Department. However, what is most instructive and obscene about this entire arrangement is the number of contracts that has been awarded to this very same firm and the number of extensions granted over years for contracts awarded between 2016 to 2017. And we have Senator Jillian John here. These contracts are normally awarded for 2 to 3 years. They have extended these contracts and on at least 2 to 3 occasions based on when it was awarded. And if you look right here in the article, Cummins contract, the grass cutting contract to Pikal for AGC's 500 development was awarded on the 10th of August 2016 and extended to the 31st of December 2024. The grass cutting at AGC's Cuba Exchange awarded on the same day and again coincidentally extended to 31st of December 2024. There are at least 5 or 6 contracts all ending with the same date of the 31st of August 2024. Coincidence much, I say to you? These ministers, they are lining their pockets, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you all remember that 2 family-owned companies of this minister was a subject of a special branch report which was being investigated by the Financial Intelligence Bureau. Tonight I ask you to stand as we welcome the Honorable Kamla Prasad Visasa.
Shine for you. myself
Let's hear it one more time for the honorable political leader and Dr. Gregory Bisasa. So as I was telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you all remember that two family-owned companies of this minister was the subject of a special branch report which was being investigated by the Financial Intelligence Bureau. Tonight I ask the Commissioner of Police, what is the status of the investigation which was started by your predecessor? Because according to this article, you asked for an update upon assuming office. And that is what is taking place in this country, ladies and gentlemen. And we have told you time and time again about the recusal twins, Forrest and Stewart. Well, I have news for you. Others are also lining their pockets as well. In the article dated the 21st of March 2024, the Minister of Tourism, Randall Mitchell, confirmed that he has an interest in the building that houses Pan Trimbago headquarters at number 55 Dundonald Street in Port of Spain. So apparently, these ministers, they have a thing for renting buildings. In this case, however, from what I understand from the article, the minister has an interest in the building that was leased to a third party. That third party is now renting the building to Pan Trimbago for a whooping $50,000 a month. This entire arrangement makes me want to stoops like Randall. Let's give Randall a stoops. So I have a few questions for Randall Mitchell. Did you use your position to orchestrate this rental? When did you become aware that Pan Trimbago was going to rent this building? And finally, and most importantly, is Pan Trimbago the recipient of any sponsorship and or advances from the ministry under your charge? I have those questions for Randall Mitchell. So while many of our fellow citizens are struggling to make ends meet, living in poverty, and fearing for their lives amidst escalating crime level, cabinet members are busy renting their buildings instead of serving you. And you know what is most obscene about this whole entire thing? Tell me. For these buildings, they do not have to pay property tax. It's you and I who have to pay property tax. And MP Tanku has been telling you about that. There's another issue which I want to raise on this platform here this evening, and it has to do with the Strategic Services Agency. And I make a pronouncement that what the PNM cannot eat, they will destroy. They eat out the treasury close to $500 billion from 2015 to present with little or nothing to show for it. They destroy Petrotrin, they destroy Caroni 1975 Limited, they destroy Lake Asphalt. Their lack of maintenance are destroying the roads and our vehicles. And now they have destroyed or are destroying the SSA. After they mash up the police ability to fight crime, they now come to destroy this country's premier intelligence gathering agency. Now is a good time to remind people that it was this Prime Minister who's also the chair of the National Security Council who famously said, he said, if this government cannot deal with crime, then the government itself is part of the problem. He said that in 2013. Well, Dr. Rowley, you don't need me to tell you that the PNM is part of the problem. The data and stats will show that crime, that mayhem and murder escalates when the PNM is in government. But that is when he was in opposition. Now that they're in government, you know what the PNM is saying and the Prime Minister is saying? He's saying the country is a violent one and there is no switch to turn off murders and crime. This is him here, the two-faced man, double standards. Doesn't know which side of the mouth to speak from. 2013, while in opposition, 2022, when in government. That is what they are noted for. So all of a sudden, tune change. He, the Prime Minister, and his cabinet are not responsible for crime. It's the society to blame. And our leader constantly reminds us of the PNM blame game and their rhetoric with respect to their playbook. The leader constantly reminds us of that. They take the population for granted. That is what the PNM does whilst they are in office. To add insult to injury or to add insult to an already bad situation, we have a Minister of National Security who is saying what? My duty is not to ensure that people feel safe and secure. That is not his duty. Yes, Fitzgerald Hines, we know that. And that is why your cabinet colleagues mash up the SSA. Let me remind you that under Mr. Manning, the SSA was used to spy on citizens of this country, from politicians to journalists and to sportsmen. So the PNM, they are accustomed of using this country's premier intelligence agency as their doormat. And you all remember that it was Honorable Kamla Prasad-Visasa that exposed how Mr. Manning used the SSA to spy on citizens. The PNM hounded you know who they hounded? They hounded Rashmi Ramnarayan. They led a crusade and crucified Mr. Ramnarayan for months upon months for being a true patriot. Rowley even found an emotion of no confidence in the Prime Minister back then when Rashmi did a deed poll. You all remember that? That is what they did. What say you now, Rowley? What say you now? Under the PNM, under Fitzgerald Hines, you have rogue elements in the SSA who, according to reports, were planning some kind of military launch against the state. This is no laughing matter. Our liberty is at stake. The head of the SSA, Major Best, is an explosive expert and had his fingertips on the world's premier spy software, the Pegasus software from Israel. In the SSA under Rowley and Hines, Major Best hired several church members and their families and recruited several high and medium-ranked military officers in their church and the SSA. Imagine a private church was being used, where machinery from the army was being used in a private capacity for the church. Imagine under Fitzgerald Hines and Rowley, the husband of a Coast Guard officer was murdered, and media reports suggest he was linked with people to national security apparatus in this country. And they killed him not too long after. They tried to poison him. So first they tried to poison him, and then they executed him on the highway. So imagine this, brothers and sisters. We expect the state to use the resources to protect us. But no, under Rowley and Hines, this is what they're doing. The state is killing people. How scary is that? This is what is taking place under this PNM. This PNM, who according to the words of Dr. Rowley, is part of the problem. So while the minister could find time on social media to preach about hate and racism, the SSA is all but collapsed. And now we have a fringe group who believe to be planning an armed action against the state, a fringe group in possession and control of the country's premier intelligence gathering agency. We would expect the government to protect the population from mass murders, which happens almost every weekend. Just this weekend, there were 5 murders on Saturday alone. And then according to one post I saw on Facebook, somebody's asking, where is the widespread outrage? No media scrutiny, no calls for general elections. Anybody else, they were calling for general elections. And brothers and sisters, we would have also hoped that these numbers and this would have caused some disquiet in the mass media. But no, nothing, zilch. We have to depend on DJ Surf and DJ News for updates on murders, not the newspaper, not the mass media. That is who we have to depend on for these murders. Just last night, not too far from here, a Kunupia man was murdered in a house robbery. Ladies and gentlemen, the PNM have abdicated their responsibilities to this nation, and it's about time they call the general election. In closing, let me remind you of the glory days and let you know there is hope. Under the leadership of Kamla Prasad-Visasa, I stand here and unequivocally affirm my commitment to my party and my leader, and reassure you that our party is well on our way to victory at the next general elections. And this is because of the hard work that we continue to do in all constituencies, ably supervised by no other than Honorable Kamla Prasad-Visasa. Let not your heart be troubled, ladies and gentlemen, by those who are destined to see us divided and to create janjat in our party. Remember, one strategy of the PNM is to encourage third parties. You all remember Team Unity, you remember the Congress of the People and so on. When their backs are against the wall, their financiers invest in a third party. And that is why it is important for all of us to bind together, to stay united, to stay together, and focus on the task of hand, which is to defeat the People's National Movement. Tonight, as I always say, I am UNC and I am proud. Brothers and sisters, long live the United National Congress. Long live the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Forward ever, backward never. I thank you.